Hey, board gamers. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode. We're back in the Gumbo Pot. It's episode number 161, Gumbo Live, the number one Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board games on Tuesday nights in New Iberia, Louisiana. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter, or on Facebook, or on Bluesky. Board Game Gumbo, at Board Game Gumbo. We'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. Quick show note, don't forget about Southern Board Game Fest. Check out southerngamefest.com. We've got our convention coming up March 29th and 30th. Tickets are still on sale. Let's make sure that we get that thing sold out. But enough blather. We've got some special guests. This one is the BGG recap show, also called the Useless Tacos show. So let me bring in some useless tacos. First up, I'm going to bring in it sounds weird to say the most useless taco. That doesn't sound like a compliment, Steve.
No, the uselessest most. I'm
gonna let Verla explain as soon as she puts her glass down. What is a useless taco, Verla?
Oh my goodness, that was from Rings and Things, right?
That's right, Things and Rings.
Yeah.
Steve, have you played Things and Rings in yet?
I have not. I have it. I have to break it out with the Gaming Guild group.
Oh my God, that is
it was great.
Game. All the way.
Yes, I would love to play that with you, Steve.
Cool.
I'm guaranteeing you're going to like that, Steve. So you got to make sure you check that out. Hey, Eric Bashimi is going to be at Pax U. I know we're going to get to you about Pax U.
That sounds good.
I want to hear a story. Verla, we want to hear a story of Steve and Eric Bashimi and Patrick. Oh my God, I forgot Patrick's last name. But the three of them playing Things and Rings. That would be hysterical.
Yeah, that really would. Please, somebody get that on film.
All right, so the useless taco is Things and Rings. The clue was useless, and I put taco. And
useful, right?
Useful. Oh, that's right. We're saying useless tacos. It's the useful taco. That's right. Useless tacos was my DJ name down at KLSU. So that's totally different thing. But the useful tacos, that's right. So the clue was useful. I didn't know this, of course. And I put the taco down. And later on, Mitchell was like, oh, it's useful. I'm like, what do you mean the taco is useful? But the comeuppance, I'm not even going to spoil it. Listen to the broadcast. We got a podcast out today, and Patrick Newman gets the comeuppance on this one. I'm just gonna little spoiler, little teaser out there. You'll listen to the podcast, and you hear how I was probably wrong about useful tacos.
And it's only 30 minutes long.
Okay.
We did a Verla-sized episode, 30 minutes. I was keeping a track of it, Verla. I thought we got it move it along, right?
I appreciated that.
Shout out to
a great episode.
Yeah, shout out to Logan. The sound came out great. He brought like $3 million worth of podcasting equipment. We had people. I don't even think they noticed. We had people coming check out the setup while we were doing it. Like it was an impressive setup. We looked like we were down in Austin doing some serious podcasting. That's what it looked like. Speaking of Logan and Mitchell, let's bring them in because the show is going to be two parts. We're going to do a part with you about Pax U, get your most anticipated ones, and then we're going to move right to Mitchell, Logan, and me, and Verla talking about BGG. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. First up, Mitchell, the CEO and founder of the Beans and Dice podcast. Mitchell, all the way from New Iberia, Louisiana. What's up, Mitchell?
You know tacos are useful. They are. I will die on that horse.
On that hill?
Tacos are useful.
Don't die on the horse before you get to the top of the hill.
That makes a useless horse.
What did that horse do to you, Mitchell?
Really?
He stepped on my taco.
Yeah,
he knows what he did.
Don't spoil the joke. I want people to listen to that podcast because I thought Patrick Newman did a good job.
It's true. I listened to that. I didn't catch what he said whenever we were recording it. I was listening to the podcast earlier and I was like, he got him. We
call it the Primrose Path, Steve, in law. Like you walk the witness down the Primrose Path and they're just like, oh, you're just agreeing with you. And then you pull out and they fall off the cliff. And that's exactly what Patrick Newman did to me. So, but the guy in charge of all the equipment, our buddy Logan, also originally from New Iberia. There's way too many New Iberia people on the show. It's Logan's first appearance, although he's been in the Gumbo Pot many times. Say hello, Logan.
And you just lost 2/3 of your New Iberia viewership because we're on the show tonight. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, who's there to check the lights in New Iberia right now? Logan, give us the elevator pitch because Mitchell's been on the show before. Give us the elevator pitch. Who is Logan Lanu, and what do you do when it comes to board gaming?
what do I do when it comes to board gaming? I buy them, right?
And then he sells them at the VFM.
Yeah, and well, the ones that that can't stay on the shelf behind me, they got to go somewheres. Most of them went to Mitchell's shelf, so it's all right.
Hey, yeah, you can keep buying expensive board games and selling them to me at a premium. I'm okay with that.
That's right.
Fine. It works, but no,
He will die on that horse, Logan. I'm telling you.
yeah. Well, I'm up on the hill. He'll be on the horse.
Hey, stop the show. The board game rabbi is here. Philip Millman. Congratulations to Philip. Steve, he did it again.
Mhm.
He did it again. This time,
Sure did.
just the Texas Regional Championship, not a true championship.
But as I've said about Philip many, many times, you can't spell rabbi without RBI.
That's right. That is great. Oh, he knocked it out of the park. Hey, Philip, I know you're in the chat, but thank you for all the help. He was a wonderful umpire. He not only was playing his games and kicking butt, going 9-0, but also answering questions on 4 different tables. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I was very often turning around and saying, hey, we're doing this right. And he would stop destroying the person he was playing against to answer my inane question and then go back to just hitting home runs.
Sometimes he wouldn't even look at the card because if you asked about a mechanic, you already knew what card you were talking about.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this, Steve. He has all 12 of the base decks memorized.
That's crazy.
Very sadly did know that already.
Yes, that's true. Because our poor friend Alex Goldsmith has lost to him many times in the playoffs. So he is truly cray-cray. That's right, Philip. All right, so we were talking about Logan. Logan, just tell us what kind of a board gamer you are. What do you like?
You can call me an omni gamer, right? If it's on the table, I'll play it. At least once, right?
You like pretty games, though.
Oh yeah, the prettier the better.
And Steve,
I'm very much a vain individual when it comes to board games and table.
He is
presence.
deluxe or bust, Steve, all the way.
That's
Okay.
it.
And I think that's where the three of us at the top here, me and Steve and Verla, we're not really deluxe or bust. I mean,
That's okay.
we've done that before.
I kind of am.
Oh, really?
I'm about to
Not-
say she's
not
not a
every
fan of
time.
Uchibakoya and Wondrous Creatures. Those are two very gorgeous
Yeah.
games.
Oh,
You
I
know.
love it. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
even begin to go to retail and Wondrous Creatures if I was to get it now.
I don't think
Yeah.
there is.
See, I do
copy, so
love
you're
ga-
good there.
I'm right there with you. I love games that look good, but I don't know that I have to invest to bling them out.
Well, I mean,
If
just
the base
look at-
if the base game is good art and I have to pay
Sure.
a lot extra to have it gilded, I probably wouldn't do that.
I mean,
My
just look at the shelf
philosophy-
behind me, right? Anytime I post a picture of a shelf, he's like, "Oh, those are pretty." I'm like, "Yeah."
Mhm.
Mhm.
What's
I
your
My
like
philosophy?
philosophy
anything.
is if I don't pay to deluxify a game, I can get another game at the retail
Or
level.
even
So-
3.
Or you can pay
Yeah.
a Deluxify game and then sell it to Mitchell and then buy another Deluxify game with the
That's
money.
true.
So
My weakness on deluxification is metal coins. There's just
Yeah.
yes, I got in the Obsession expansion and I didn't even remember, but I shouldn't be surprised. I also sprung for the metal coins.
But you
Yeah,
have
I
that Stonemeyer
saw
set
that.
of metal coins that you use every time we play a game, whether or not it's a Stonemeyer game.
I
We were
just
playing Trekking the World the other day, and you're like, hey, let's not use this tracker. Let's use these metal Stonemeyer coins.
it's true. It is
Nice.
true.
I really,
love
I
metal
want to
coins.
set of iron clays just for that. But I'm like,
Oh, those
BGG, I
iron
keep
clays are
springing
so
for,
nice.
metal
Yeah.
coins every time.
I bought the cheap discount stuff, and I've always been happy with it until I finally played with some iron clays. They really are nice, man.
They're so nice.
Yeah.
Iron clay poker chips. Okay, so that's
Someday.
Logan. Logan likes deluxe games and very pretty games, right? Yeah, that makes it an expensive habit. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
The good news is
Like.
the good news, Verla, in Acadiana, they all buy the same. The 4 guys all buy the same 4 games. So
No, I now have a rule that in our gaming group of 5, if any 2 other people buy a game, I will not touch it.
oh,
It's
no,
wise. It's a good
Mhm.
rule.
Mhm.
that is a
Yeah.
very good rule.
I'll just steal
All
one
right.
of theirs.
So none of us, except for Steve, as far as I know, have been to Pax U, right?
Correct.
Anybody? Okay. So Steve, tell if anybody hasn't been to Pax U, what is Pax U?
PAX U is probably the East Coast version, as close as we get to a big tabletop gaming con. It is big. It's not Gen Con big. It's not
big,
as in Spiel big, but it's big. And it takes over at least maybe 1/3 to 1/2 of the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philly. You're talking tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, 25,000 roughly tickets, badges a
Ball,
day, right?
ballpark, and it's hard to tell if it's gone up or down because things have been, in flux because of COVID and people
So
recovering.
what
and
people
coming
what
back.
people may not know, Steve, is that New York doesn't actually have a big board game convention, even
No.
though it's the biggest
No,
city
it
in
doesn't.
America. They consider PAX U their kind of local convention, right?
Pax U is East Coast, right? So with Philly, you've got DC within striking distance. You've got New York, Boston with a longer drive, but everybody from New York down to Washington could day trip into Philly.
Why aren't y'all just day tripping to Montreal or Vancouver? It's right there across the border, man.
Yeah, it's exactly as you say. You're so smart and educated when it comes
It's
to
right
Jim.
across the border. All right, so that is the East Coast home con. It started. I mean, literally, they just started it up, and within 3 years, it was 25,000 people. Same size or bigger than Origins. But what we're really interested in is the games. I know you're going to see some people, and hopefully you'll see some friends. But you're down there to kind of talk to some of the publishers and see that. Oh, look, there's Berkey
Right,
checking in.
Berkey.
Berkey,
Hey,
we were just
Berkey.
talking about the
Berkey.
baseball highlights tournament. So told Philip, thank you. It was awesome seeing Berkey. And actually, I got to play, besides baseball highlights, I also got to play Heat with him, and that was a hoot. So
It was great, but difficult seeing your updates. It was
Oh,
so
yeah.
good seeing all the people that you were seeing and all the cool stuff you were doing. But then I was like, and I'm here.
And I didn't post it, but for the Heat game, he brought a bag of his Happy Mouth seasoning
there you go.
jerky. So we had jerky to enjoy during the Heat tournament.
It was
Man,
great.
that was
I'm so sad I missed out on that.
good tasting one. Yeah, it was good. So yeah, you were saying, so you've actually you're going to go there for fun, of course, but you're also doing it to see some new games. And we picked out 2 or 3 games, some very interesting ones, I might add.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. So tell us.
There's
Tell
a
us about
collection
Flock
of
Together.
them. Flock Together was one that I saw and had just enough knowledge of from looking at. It sounds so great. It sounds like it's. And BJ is just talking about taking me down the primrose path all over again here. It sounds to me like it should be Wingspan plus Pandemic together. It's Wingspan-demic. It should be.
So this is Flock Together with art from Andrew Bosley. I'm going to punch that up. And from Sea Cow Games, a company I'm not that familiar with.
No, not that familiar, but it seems like it has Pandemic guts. It's got a co-op, and I do like a co-op that's going to be challenging, but I want it to be something where you have an honest chance to compete and then want to do it again when you lose. The artwork on this looks fabulous. The bits and pieces give off that Wingspan vibe to them.
Oh, look how cute those are.
It looks like it should be fab.
Yep. Steve, did you catch that?
And I'm anxious to give it a look.
Gruber.
Hans Gruber, yes. Yep. Nothing like painful wordplay either. You need that in there.
There's a ton of puns. The whole thing is puns. I saw the booth at BGG Con, and I've been playing games online somehow on BGA with the designer. So he was showing it off, and every little character has a very punny name.
Yeah.
Cluckleberry Finn, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Philip and I might not do anything other than try to invent new characters at this game. We might not play the characters, but we might decide that we just want to make up more chickens.
God, this production is just wow.
It looks fab. I hear that it was played at BGG Con.
Oh, is that right? Or even before BGG Con?
It was played well before BGG Con. Yeah.
I think Logan has some thoughts. So we've established that Steve has a penchant for finding beautiful games with what Logan is sure to tell us is amazing gameplay, because he's the name father.
I love beautiful games, and this is no exception. It is a gorgeous game, absolutely, and it's fantastical. But I'm going to be the troll under the bridge here, and I'm gonna crush your soul and say that it's beautiful until you play it. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let me tell you, it is brutal. From a group of experienced gamers, it was impossible to beat. Mathematically, we quit halfway through.
It's a cooperative game. It is a fully cooperative game.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love everything they're trying to do, but I mean, whenever I was looking into it, I have 2 small children, and believe me, if they saw it on the table, Dad, can we play? And I'd want to say yes, but the answer is Dad's not going to play it because Dad can't beat it. you know. So it's an unfortunate truth, but you know, some people really like tough stuff, but tough stuff can't look like this.
Verla, have you beaten it on BGA?
Oh no, we weren't playing this. We've been playing Arc Nova. I don't think this is on BGA.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, look, if it was anything else, if it was, you know, remotely competitive, right? I don't mind losing. I say this all the time. I don't mind losing as long as I'm in the mix and I'm competitive. And this game crushed my soul. It really did. Yeah.
You told me that my soul should brace for crushing, and it wants to not be stomped. So I'm going to ask a question or three, hoping that the soul can survive. How many times did you play?
And prove me wrong, please, by all means.
How many times did you play it, if you don't mind my asking?
Half of a time.
Half. Ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It should not be something where it's obvious to you that there is no hope and fun playing the game.
Not at all, because then, I mean, it's like there are certain competitive games where I feel that way, you know, like, I mean, we played, what was it, Medieval Times or whatever it was.
Middle Ages.
Middle Ages, yeah.
Logan was about to flip that
I'm
table.
like, well, I'm out this dang game. I don't want to play no more, you know, like it's, you know, it's that. But it's the game that does it to you. It's not Mitchell, you know, so.
Now, our friend Jeremy has played it more often than just that half a time.
He's played it twice, but like the second time was with us at a full group of 5 because he played it solo just to kind of get the rules down to teach us. And then he promptly put it on his for sale shelf.
Okay.
Which is not something he does lightly, I will say. Even though we both sell a lot of games, that was the quickest I've seen one get up there.
That's a shame to hear. I will give it a look and see what it is. And maybe, I mean, I've had games of Pandemic, for example, where Pandemic is a beatable game. But I've had a game of Pandemic where after two cycles around, we're dead. We may as well just shuffle up and deal again.
Yep. Well, look, I'll be
but
honest,
that's an exception to the rule rather than a bug, than a feature of the game.
I mean, like Verla said, they were at BGG Con. I'd walk by that booth and just kind of duck my head, and, you know, just,
oh no!
Look, you don't want to talk to me, guy. I'm gonna hide. You know. Well, but, you know, I would be willing to give it another shot. It's just I'm gonna go in with that grain of salt, knowing that it's not as fluffy and pretty and welcoming as it seems to be.
I'm looking forward to hearing Steve's thoughts. So Steve, go by the booth, try it out, get the
definitely
demo.
Try to check it. It's part of a theme that a lot of the things that I looked at this time go around seem to be like not super heavy games.
It'll make sense later, I'm sure.
It will all come together. This sound effect will be useful from what I hear.
Right. So you were saying part of the theme?
I think a lot of the things that were popping out at me were things that, again, appealed to me in terms of visually drawing me in. And a lot of that had to do with a lot of natural themes and stuff that was coming out here. I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's another cluster of nicely done art visual games that are really going to make me want to stop and look at PAX. And that was one of them.
And I'll tell you this, from being at BGG, there's a ton of gorgeous games, man. The hot games room, everything on the table was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I felt bad because as innocent as this game looked, I thought I was Chicken Little saying the sky is falling 3 turns in. You know, it's just, I want to like it. I really do. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, we've even made Jeremy Dobler, the owner of the game, he made comments on social media, and the developers, you know, that made responses and stuff, and they're like, no, that wouldn't help us at all in the slightest in any situation. So, but like I said, I'm willing to give it another shot, but I know it should be a very much heavier game than you anticipate it to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I will go in with eyes open.
Yep. Let's flock together. Steve's going to give us the report. Hey, BJ from More Game Gumbo, I've got my guests in here, Mitchell and Logan, and Steve and Verla and I are getting a recap from Steve, a projection of what he wants to play.
Pre-cap.
There we go.
A pre-cap. The first game didn't go so well, but let's see the second game. This one I do have some thoughts on. It's Black Forest. The new game from Uwe Rosenberg. Steve, what's got you anticipating this one?
This looks to me like it is Glass Road Plus.
Okay.
It looks to me like it is Glass Road, which is a fairly accessible Uwe game. I would say the hardest part of wrapping your head around it is maybe the dial and the resource management stuff. But once you get it, it's a very cool mechanic that lets you be clever in your gaming. This looks like it takes that same stuff and gives you the same idea of, you know, taking down your forests, building up things, making a little making yourself a little village in there. But I'm interested to see what it does differently. If it's just Glass Road, because Glass Road's been reprinted, wasn't changed much. If this is Glass Road 1.5, or what does it do differently? It has my attention, and this is I do like Uwe, and I remember playing this with our dear friend Topher first time and thinking this is not all the Uwe games are high on my list. The idea of feeding your people unless they die, or being overwhelmed for me by a feast for Odin and all of the choices. Glass Road was the one that said, that's a sweet spot for me. I'd like to see this one and see if it does something different and better.
Well, based on his description, guys, I think we have some good news for him. Now, it's not necessarily a Glass Road 2.0. The only thing I remember, I actually own Glass Road, but it's been years. And the only thing I remember about it was that dial. And the dial does resemble Glass Road, but except that there's two dials that you have to deal with. There's two separate dials with resources on it. But I think the way that you described, I think you're gonna like this one. Who's played Black Forest besides me?
Played it twice at BGG. Probably my biggest discovery of the con. I've never played Glass Road, full disclosure. I only like one Uwe game going into this, and that's Etowah. So it was definitely something I really enjoyed, and that dial was something that took a minute to wrap your head around, but honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and it surprised me. It really did.
Yep. Cool. Mitchell, you played it?
I did not get a chance to play it, no.
Nope. Berla? I did get to play it. In fact, I played it once with Logan. Yep. And man, Steve, I was impressed. I'm a big fan of Adiwa. But before that, it had been a long time since his economic games struck me, going all the way back to Agricola and Le Havre. But this one, I really like it. Here's why I like it, and this is why I think you'll like it, Steve. It's got the typical, we got to build stuff, we got to get cows, we got to make corn, all that stuff, right? You know that going in. It's got those cool dials, and instead of one, there's two of them, and it's a clever way to manage your resources. You're gonna like that stuff. But also, it's got this spatial mechanic where you've got to move your workers around, and you can even manipulate the village by this traveling merchant.
Traveling merchant,
yeah. You have this way of it's that Stefan Feld nugget that if the luck isn't playing well with you, you can kind of manipulate it with the merchant. Well, that I'm in, and I just love that mechanic of moving around. It was a spatial puzzle, not only of building out your tableau, which we know Mitchell loves, and then we also have moving around the village. I love building out these little tableaux. I love somebody giving me a 4x4 and saying, "Hey, make your best form out of it." But I also want to move around. I want to slide around. I don't want it to just be one little static place. And I thought it sang, Logan.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. It was
so you do still
biggest surprise.
You do still have your own private area that you're working with. Now there's a board that you're moving around as a village as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Interesting. So that is a big change.
You're traveling from town to town, looking for different resources, different markets, things like that, all to bring back to your player board to improve it and, engine build essentially.
Yep. Tiny little engine building, we're not talking about the Italian designers.
Do you have the ponds? Do you have the grain fields to, because there's certain spots on the board that let you manifest resources based on the quantity you have in your player board, stuff like that.
If that's what you're looking for, though, if you're looking for like super duper convolutions type games, go to the Italian designers. That's not what this is going to be. This is more, can you manage these resources? Can you turn 3 things into 5?
It's very much resource management. Yeah, I want to go here. Oh, dang, someone went to that city, which is going to cost me an extra resource because now I have to pay them one just to go, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the race aspect too, Logan. It was kind of a race for the biggest point buildings, which I didn't realize. I don't say that. They did tell me that. It's just, I couldn't figure out how to get there. But in the second half of the game, I started to figure that out. But that is Black Forest. I think that's the 2 I wanted to hear. Is there any other one you wanted to talk about, Steve? We got time for one more. There's one.
Let me take a quick peek there. There's a lot of stuff in there that kind of calls out to me.
Give me one. Give me one that you're thinking.
This is one. Okay.
Fromage? I'd like to hear about Fromage.
Fromage is one that Kelly's gotten me interested in, but there's one that I've seen being talked about a lot in the Fort Circle Discord, and it's called Molly House.
Okay.
And it is one that represents 17th century England, or 1700s England, 18th century England. And the theme is LGBTQ characters having to be clever with how they move around the city to be able to manage what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, this is the Whirly's new design, Steve.
This is Cole Whirly,
Cole and his brother
exactly. And
Whirly.
Cole and Joe, yes, I believe.
No,
is Joe the other person?
Daniel.
There was two designers listed, but I can't remember that. But
you're right. This is not his brother. This is designed by Joe Kelly. Sorry about that.
Joe Kelly and
I thought
Cole
Drew
and Cole
designed it with him, but you're right.
Right.
It's Joe.
But
Kelly.
Listen to this collection of mechanics.
It's Evan.
Push your luck. Push your luck. Bluffing and deduction. Hidden rolls. Multi-use cards. Semi-co-op. That is a cluster of things that makes me think, how are they going to come together? And it's quite historical. We're going to have somebody who's coming down with us who is the host of the 20-Sided Gamified podcast who does a lot of historical wargaming stuff. I'll be really curious to see what Jared has to say about this one as a historically themed game. I don't know if it's going to appeal to me in terms of gameplay, but I know I'm rooting like hell for it to be good.
Yeah, it looks like your typical whirligig joint where it's going to be historical. It's going to have very clever mechanics used in different ways. That the element of the kind of social deduction, that's not what I'd expect from Whirly in his games. So from Cole, but it's interesting. It's one I'd like to play. So.
Yeah, and social deduction and bluffing is usually not my gig. I'm terrible at that, but I want this to work. I want this to be good. Hopefully, this part of my soul remains uncrushed when I get there.
To be seen, right? I don't know.
You know, it is
to be determined.
You know, it is with Cole's designs. Like sometimes they're super clever, and like John Company, second edition, just super clever, super fun. And then you get Oath, and it just
it did not.
It did just not land for us. So hey, look, more power to Cole and his brother Drew, and obviously Joe Kelly. They're pushing the envelope on game design. You know that's what they're about. So that is Molly House. That should be hitting backers pretty soon, if I remember right. But they're going to have some copies at Pax U.
I think so. I don't know if they'll be available for play only or sale. I've only been going through the list for what's going to be there. I have not been paying attention to purchasing or not.
All right, that's 3 games for you out there for Pax U. Hey, anybody that goes to Pax U, say hey to Steve, say hey to the Name Father, and also check these 3 games out and let us know what's happening. BJ from Wargame Gumbo, I have got my guest here, Mitchell and Logan from the Acadiana Board Gamers, and for some reason it did not show. Let me see if I can get what happened here. It was supposed to pull it up. Look how smooth this guy is at doing podcasting. This is amazing.
It's like he's a professional.
Just like he's a professional. Here we go. BJ from Wargame Gumbo, I've got my guests here, Mitchell and Logan, and we're talking spicy hot games that we played at BGG Con 2024. I didn't get to play this one, but Mitchell, you got to play an advanced copy before you even got your copy in.
Yeah, I was super excited. So right after that game of Heat with Berkey that you had mentioned, I was walking by the ballroom, thousands of people were in it, and I come across a table and I see this beautiful dragon mini, and I was like, I recognize that. I just backed this game on, I think it was Kickstarter, one of the crowdfunding platforms, and it's not supposed to be until next year, So like, this is Flames of Fafnir. I look around, there's no one to be found. It's like a moral dilemma. What I do?
I was walking with you, remember?
Yeah, you were right there. Like, can I just sit down and play this? It wasn't on TTE in one of the events. I waited there until someone showed up again. I sent a message to the Lucky Duck Instagram, and then Devin Norris walks up. And I was like, is this yours? Can I play this, please? And I think he was just backing up for the day. He said, come back tomorrow. We hooked up on Discord, and we set up a time, and Dave and I got to play. This was my highlight of the con. It was such a nice surprise that a game I had just finished backing, I don't know, maybe a month ago the campaign ended, getting to see it in real life. If you click through some of those pictures, for people who don't know, Flames of Fafnir is billed as a physics-based board game. Basically, there's this big dragon on one end of the board, and he's going to shoot fireballs out of the city. And it's based kind of like a dice tower, but it's like a marble. And instead of there being a bowl to collect it at the bottom, it rolls out onto the board. If you click through, I think there's some close-ups of the mini, which are really cool. That's the cardboard version. Look at that. That is
gosh,
that's the actual miniature.
Incredible.
Yes. So basically, to be honest, I knew very little about the mechanics of the game when I backed it. I was just like, I want this game.
Mitchell, when I go to Iberia, this is the picture I'm expecting that I can take at your house.
Well, we just said a while ago that I don't back the expensive versions of games, so I can buy more. So I did get the cardboard version of the Dragon.
So you're going to have
right
this
there.
one, right?
Yes, yeah. But still, well, actually, so we did get to play the game. Devin had it set up with the cardboard Dragon. I was like, why are we not playing with this big, awesome mini? And he said it was the first version of, oh, look, Danny as well.
Danny said it looks amazing. Yeah. I'm jealous you got to play it.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, why? New Iberia is named after the Iberian Peninsula.
It's new.
It's the new one.
The better version, maybe. No. Yeah.
You just alienated our 1,000 Spanish viewers, man.
So he had the mini sitting up on the box. I'm like, oh, he wants to use the mini to attract people to the table. I said, can we use that? He said, this is the first version of the mini. We were still figuring out the physics. This dragon is mean. So like the slope of the marble coming out was too what's the word I'm looking for? It was too steep. And he was like, really knock stuff down.
That's very cool.
Reaction.
Oh my gosh. I don't know anything about this game either, but I might
have to find someone so I can just paint one.
I can't wait to tell you about the gameplay, which I'm almost there. Sorry. So I was like, look, whatever you suggest, we'll play. He's like, yeah, I really suggest playing with the cardboard version because it's more like, as brutal as we want the game to be without being too brutal. And Dave Dugas right there. Like, no, we're playing with the mean dragon. So we played with the mean dragon. So this is a competitive game. So it's semi-co-op. Either everybody wins and defeats the dragon. Sorry, not everybody wins. One person wins, whoever has the most points if the humans beat the dragon, or the dragon wins and nobody wins. What I didn't realize, you could abandon humanity, jump on the back of the dragon and become a dragon rider and also be the sole winner with the dragon that way. It is so cool. And I was like, I'm just telling you guys right now, no matter what happens, I'm going to become a dragon rider. Like, you can bet on that. The problem is you have to get to a certain threshold. And whenever I got to that threshold of points, literally the next turn, the dragon was going to be dead. So I was like, I guess I'll stick with humanity, guys. So the way it works, it's almost like a cooperative game in that we each take a turn and then the dragon takes a turn. And the dragon is a deck of cards. Depending on what the card says, what he does, he can either load up a small fireball or a big fireball, or he can move. Or
that's
he can do different
sizes right there with the fireballs.
Right. Yeah. That's what he's loading into his throat. Or he can defend himself by getting more scales. And then whenever you become the dragon rider, instead of it just being random flips, I believe what happened, no one became a dragon rider, but you then pick which cards are coming out and what the dragon does. So you can set up little walls, right? Little walls in the village, which are those green and yellow squares you can see. Yeah. It doesn't have the screen printing on it yet. But essentially at the far end, closer to us in the picture, there are like 5 little wooden, well, they're supposed to be wood, they're cardboard, like little stake walls outside of a village. And if the dragon knocks all 5 of those down, then he wins. And if he gets through into the village, he can also do more damage. There's little holes that his fireballs can fall into. So you're trying to get through his scales, which is on the left side of the board, those colored runes. And you have to have certain runes to be able to defeat him because he's a dragon. You got to use magic. You can't just go and swing a sword at him. And you get those runes by defeating little spiders on the board or by getting cards. Very, very fun game.
Is this the Archer versus Smog, basically defending the village from getting...
Honestly, the Hobbit, maybe a little bit.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, Dugas said,
"Do play the mean dragon."
He says, "Hey, you want to play with the mean dragon?" So that sounds like Dave.
Evan's making a dad joke right there.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's an obtuse dragon because an acute angle wouldn't let the mortal leave. That makes sense. I knew nothing about this game.
Me neither. I didn't either. I'm a little upset I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I invited
Evan is representing Men of Dale. He's got Bard, Men of Dale.
Nice.
Hey, Evan, you do represent, but there's somebody that can really represent. Look at that, Steve. Look at Mitchell's guy.
Yeah. Don't make me go get Narsil. Have it on the wall.
In Elvish, that says free Wi-Fi. If you look at it.
No, it's his Wi-Fi password at his house is what it is.
And you got the name drop.
Yeah.
Devin, I've never met Devin, but Devin is I've interacted with him a lot.
If Devin happens to see this, I apologize. But somehow Dugas mentioned BJ, and he goes, BJ Rosa from Board Game Jambalaya?
the better known Board Game Jambalaya.
Right. Board Game Tasso.
Steve, I did have somebody come up at BGG Con and said, what happened to Jeremy Howard? Why isn't he working with Board Game Gumbo anymore? And it's true, we haven't had him on a long time because, like,
That's
yeah,
true. He
love.
definitely was a regular.
He was definitely a regular. We got to get him back on. He's so big with Man versus Meeple, though. You know,
true.
One arm to rule them all. I'm in. I want to play this. This looks really good.
Yeah.
And even the gameplay that you described sounds good. I've got to hear more about the mechanics from when we see it on the table. But
yeah, the whole like cooperative until you want to throw mutiny. I actually just got a Kickstarter in that I need to play. It's called We're Sinking, where you're a bunch of pirates on a sinking ship, and you can either work together to save the ship, or you can sink all of your competitors and be the only one to survive. So I kind of want to play this. This seems up my alley.
All right, that is Flames of Fafnir, and that's coming out from Lucky Duck Games, or were they just distributing it?
No, Lucky Duck.
Lucky Duck Games. All right, let's check that one out. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests in here, Mitchell and Logan from the Acadiana, the crew to Acadiana Board Games. That's what I was telling everybody at BGG. Although that was one of the other cool things is seeing everybody that liked Board Game Gumbo, Steve, because all these people were wearing these their name tags, and they had these little cutouts underneath it. These little what do you call them? The little stickers. And it said, "I love BGG." I thought that was so nice of them to
touching. It's touching.
It's very touching.
I think everyone I saw had something around their neck that said BGG on it.
I know. I didn't realize we had that many fans, but wow, we had thousands of people.
That has to be gratifying to you, BJ.
Really. Totally.
At Board Game Jambalaya. You know?
And that joke is never going to get old, no matter how many times I go to BGG Con. Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. I cannot believe that I went all the way to Dallas and didn't play this game one time. Not once.
Logan's got it. You could play it.
Who's played it?
I played it twice.
It's within arm's reach right now. Yeah, I got to show Mitchell the game. It's awesome.
My microphone's in the way.
Okay, so tell us, Berla, all about Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. The question that you have to answer, because I've been asked that question at least 10 times, isn't this just Seven Wonders Duel with a reskin?
It is not. I was worried that it might be, but it is not. And my Seven Wonders Duel copy is going to go on the sale pile like immediately, and I need this in my life and my world because it's amazing. So Danny and I were both really interested in playing that, and went by on Saturday. Finally managed to get in and learn it, and we're like, this is really, really awesome. Then Sunday before the library closed, like around noon, we were looking for another short game in the library, and we just kept hovering by the hot games table that this was on because they didn't have a library copy you could check out. And he stepped out for a little bit, and all of a sudden this couple that was in the middle of playing it, and the gal didn't seem too interested, suddenly got up and left. And I dove into her seat and called Danny. I was like, get over here right now. And so we cranked out another game of it, and we had it all down this time from the day before. But you've got the card display and the 3 rounds like Seven Wonders Duel, but it adds so much more. And it's not just Lord of the Rings, slapped on, that skin slapped on. It's so thematic. It really feels like you're playing out the entire trilogy as you go through the game. Sorry, seeing Evan's comments. We're still fighting for cards.
Danny, I liked him. Quack.
Quack, quack. You're still going back and forth for cards, but there's also tiles that you can take instead of a card on your turn. And there's a whole board that's like the map of Middle Earth. And, there's some fighting for area control. So basically you can win by area control, or in Seven Wonders Duel there's like the war track. It's kind of like this, but it's the ring wraiths chasing Sam and Frodo. You can win that way. Is that
what that board is represented that we see at the top of the screen?
That's the coolest feature of the game.
Yeah, that's the coolest
that track. Yeah. Or you can win by, there's little shields you can see kind of up on the top of the board there that represent all the different races for the Fellowship that band together. And if you get a bunch of those shields,
that's a good shot of it right
6
there.
or 7.
Yeah,
you can win the game
6
that way.
of them, there's a 7th hidden
6.
one, but yeah.
Right. So guys who also played it, feel free to jump in if I'm missing something.
No, you're doing great. But no, the coolest thing is that track that Mitchell crushed me on. It's you have your cardboard timeline, and there's an acrylic track that slides over it, which is Sam and Frodo trying to race to Mordor, and then there's also a little acrylic ring wraith on top of it that's sliding to catch up to Sam and Frodo. So that race part is it's unique. That's the one thing I knew Mitchell was going to immediately go for because it's the most direct path to victory. And
hey, if it works,
he got it. Yeah, he got it for sure. I like the area control portion of it. I like that it's 3 plates that you have to keep spinning, right? Because if he focuses on racing to the end, I'm going to start going area control, and he's like, "Oh crap, I got to stop doing that. I have to switch, focus and stuff." So
that's what I was going to say. It felt very thematic because I mean, think of the books, think of the movies. At the beginning, they're all together. They're working on getting the ring to Mordor, right? And then at the end of Fellowship, they have to split up and deal with their own thing. So at the beginning of the game, I'm just pushing that track. And then Sauron's over here. Look at him. He's right there. He's really tall. He's wearing a hat. Sauron's over here, and he's taking over Middle Earth. I'm like, oh, crap. If that happens, it doesn't matter if this ring gets through. So then I have to go deal with that. And then the ring wraiths are catching up now. So I got to go back. And I felt like I was in Middle Earth, and it was great mechanically. I'm not a huge fan of Seven Wonders or Seven Wonders Duel, but I did not. I mean, visually, it looks like Seven Wonders.
Just
and that,
because of the card pyramids,
the card,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But I did not feel like I was playing Seven Wonders Duel. I felt like I was playing a new awesome game in my favorite fictional world of all time. So,
and Steve, I'm sure you know
the art.
It's Vincent Dutre. I mean, he's always knocking out of the park. But I have heard some complaints that the game was kind of broken because one person could just give the ring to the Eagles and have the Eagles drop it off in Mordor. And the game is very strong.
You're not getting anywhere with this argument. I will rip you to shreds, PJ.
I'm just saying.
I didn't wear this shirt on purpose. It just kind of happened.
It's a broken strategy. They need these 2 quality designers. It's Antoine Boza and Bruno Cathala, of course. So 2 great designers, amazing art, a theme I love, and I didn't play it one time, not once.
Wow.
And what's great, it plays in what I mean. I know our game was faster because of how I am, but I feel like it couldn't have been more than 30 minutes.
Every game
on
I played
average,
was under 30 minutes.
Yeah. The second game that we played, we cranked it out in like between 15 and 20 minutes. We were just like, go, 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 go. We know what we're doing now.
No, but like, I was pushing my luck a little bit because I was letting him take the ring path because I knew that's what he wanted. So I was getting all the symbols, hoping for chapter 2 that I was just going to dominate. And
you got very close.
Yeah, those.
It didn't feel like a runaway in your direction. It's like if I hadn't pulled that last ring card, if the next card you pulled was one of the races, that's great. Then you could have easily won. I think this is a great game that because it's not super long, you should always play it twice. Like I'll play Sauron the next time you play Sauron.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll flip it. But also no, Patrick, it doesn't come with first and second breakfast. The insert is made out of lambas bread, however.
Nice.
One
how
small
can
bite
it be balanced though, Mitchell? We
man.
know how the story ends. How can it be balanced? Don't the hobbits always win?
I mean, if you look in Galadriel's mirror, there was a very real possibility the opposite could happen. As she said, you stand on the edge of a knife.
But that doesn't stop you from playing Blitzkrieg, though, does it, BJ?
That is no. It doesn't stop me from losing Blitzkrieg. I've never ever won Blitzkrieg.
Star Wars Rebellion. I was listening to the Board Boys podcast the other day, and they were like, "Yeah, I converted Chewbacca to the dark side, and then I used him to blow up Kashyyyk." The Rob, who loves Star Wars.
That is like rip your arm off and slap you with it.
Yeah, and it's like that is such a thematic game as well, but it doesn't. Right. It's like alternate universe. It's like Marvel. It's like what if situation.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. That'll work.
I absolutely adore this cover.
I had it with me the whole time. Had I known.
I know.
Oh man.
Magneto is not in the movie.
Duga is being a troll, and I'm ignoring it.
He's a complete troll over there.
It's hard to ignore someone who's baiting you if they know that you've got a tattoo on the inside of your arm. Exactly. That's like the button to push right there. That's literally it.
Since we shared a room for 5 days, he definitely knows about that tattoo. So, and I'll just stop right there. Stop. It's on the arm, Steve. We're talking about the arm.
Yes.
Cut. Next segment.
All right. So that is Lord of the Rings Duel.
It's different with this one.
Duel for Middle Earth.
Duel for Middle Earth. Okay. So check
if you're gonna show the arm, it's instead of being suns out, guns out, it's got to be like boards out, swords out, or something like that. You gotta do
I like that.
Something like that.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here, Mitchell and Logan. I think we got time for one more. Looks like games, a recap of BGG Con, and I love all the chat comments. So I know all of you guys were at BGG Con in Dallas, and just to give us some more of your stories, and we'll post them up in the chat. But one of the games I did get to play, and I think all of us but Verla played, that is SETI. Logan, tell us about SETI. That's the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligent Board Gamers.
Well, they didn't find anybody, I guess, because they got us talking about it. But so if you don't know me, my absolute number one favorite board game is The Lost Ruins of Arnak. Always has been, probably always will be. And I love CGE. And since Arnak, I don't think they've made a great game. Putin Horror is good. They made a lot of good games.
I'd agree with that.
I've only had one play of this, and I'm already almost ready to call it. This thing is amazing. It's absolutely eye-catching. It's beautiful. It's different, right? There's 3 rotating layers, lazy Susans, whatever you want to call them. It's complex, but also it has a little bit of a Lost Ruins of Arnak feel where as long as you have resources, you can keep taking turns, right?
It's true.
And you keep going, and as long as you manage your resources and do everything, and there's so many options. It's awesome, and not too many, because I will say I love Unconscious Mind right now. That's another hot game that I've been playing a lot of. But this one didn't feel like there was as many options as something like Unconscious Mind, where there's choices everywhere, But yeah, just seeing that map and the modularity of everything, I know that this is going to have expansion after expansion. I'm already ready for my big box version. I know it's coming.
Yeah, that they can expand this thing. Steve, it looks intimidating, right?
Yeah.
And CGE games.
You read my mind.
Yeah. I know you too well, Steve. It's been
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought the same thing. And I didn't really get to teach because we only had 2 hours before whatever my next thing. I guess it was the start of the tournament. I can't remember. But we only had 2 hours and we had to fly through this thing. We didn't actually quite finish. I still had a few. We were in that last part, but still had a couple of turns left that I got to miss out on. But man, after what I did is I did the let me just try everything in the first round. So I just tried all the different mechanics. And after that, I'm like, in a way, sort of like Civolution, it looks very intimidating, but by the end of it, I kind of figured out all the mechanics. Now, how to get those points, that part I didn't figure out. But I was scoring points. But what's the most efficient way to score a lot of points? But the other cool thing about it is not only do you have that board that you get to upgrade that Logan talked about, and by the way, those tiles are everywhere. It's like, go here and you can get those tiles. Go here and you get those tiles. It's what it seemed like. But you have the spatial element of that middle board where it was it felt like going to the NASA Space Center. I'm like, okay, I got to get my satellite. What do they call it? The little satellite dish thing?
Probes.
Yeah.
That's what we're calling them.
I got to get my probe out onto the representation of Mars. And then I got to somehow wait for the asteroids to pass me by and then fling out to Neptune if I can. Because I had a card that gave me points for going to Neptune. And then once I got to there, I could either land or orbit on Neptune. This cool little tri-fold puzzle. And then all of a sudden we're playing the game. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to open up the board and put some aliens out there. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There's another board?
Once you just go, you're getting hints of alien races. And once you get 3 hints of of an alien race, it then opens up an entire new place you can go to and do. I don't want to say like the research track, but it just unlocks a whole nother part of the board, right? Like Arnak
it felt more like an area majority thing where we're racing to get the best points up there.
In a sense, you have to have the right resources and stuff. Depends on what alien race you find. But the cool thing is, like BJ was saying, if you land on the planet, well, if you get to a planet, you can actually choose to land on it. And then also, if you have the ability, you can also land on the moons, which tend to be more lucrative of those planets. And anybody who bought the game at BGG got a promotional card.
Oh.
I thought it was funny that the promotional card is actually Pluto. And if you look right there, it says not a planet since 2006. So I thought that was a little bit of a troll moment, but these are actually, it becomes your own personal moon on the board in front of you just for you to go to. But I thought it was kind of funny. They're like, yeah, still not a planet.
All right, I'm curious, Steve, Verla, what do you think? Does this interest you at all?
I would try it. It looks cool. It looks pretty.
This interests me because I think this is a relatively new designer, Tomasz Holek, I believe.
Right.
And if you go back a few years to when Wolfgang Warsch had like 3 games go bang, bang, bang. He's got this He's thank you for changing over so quickly there, BJ. After Dugas posted his comment, you had to put cat anus.
I'm trying to ignore Dugas right
now. You're just feeding the beast at that point. Anyway, what
you
was
were
I
saying? Something about probing? I'm not sure. What
yeah, exactly. About probes.
Uranus.
This guy seems like he's got 3 games ready to come out. Bang, bang, bang. This, Galileo Galilei, and
which looks amazing.
Look, I tried to get really, on that game. I tried to get on Galileo the entire weekend. That thing, I couldn't.
We couldn't get on the table at all.
It seems absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for it. But yes, I agree.
What's the third one? Something about a garden or something?
Tea garden. And they're all going to be, I think they're all listed as 2024 or 25 dates. I'm sure he's been working on these forever, but it's going to be like Wolfgang Warsch, who had these things and they just went poop, poop, poop. And he was
They
massive.
finally discovered him and then they wanted all of his stuff, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, this interests me.
All right. Well, that is the one that my favorite Euro, I think was Rasafa. Maybe I'm trying to remember now what I thought, but if I had finished the game, it would have been easily SETI, and I would have bought it. Except
it was the most sold board game.
Everyone bought it.
6 of the 4 members bought a copy, if I remember right. Wow. 6 of the 4 guys that were there bought a copy. So
I saw people punching it out everywhere I went.
Jeremy.
And not just our crew.
No, not just our crew.
I have it pre-ordered. I wasn't paying. I had already ordered it for cheaper. So
what's weird is that it didn't sell out. At least as of Saturday morning, they still had some copies.
I think they're releasing so many copies a day, which was pretty smart. I went out Sunday morning before I rolled out, and they still had 5 or 6 copies left.
The reason I say it's weird is because Rob and I checked with CGE, and our first knowledge was that they weren't going to have any copies at all. It didn't make the shipment. And then I guess maybe the shipment made it, because then there was an announcement that, we will have some. But we're going to ration out each day. That is SETI. That is the one. I think we did have one more to cover if we can talk about it really quick. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. All right. BJ from Morgan Gumbo, I've got my guests here, Mitchell and Logan, and we're going to do this one really quickly.
I missed that one too, apparently.
I need a Belgian beer right now.
This is the Belgian Beers Race dice game. It is from our friends. It's I can't remember the original company.
I thought I was only talking about one game, BJ.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No, the game wasn't bad.
The game is great.
No. And that's my issue, Steve. I played this Belgian Beers Race game. I love the theme. I've been to Belgium. I love Belgium. I own a Belgian soccer jersey because I like Belgium, the country, so much. I love any kind of rando riders. Like, you give me a dice chucker or a flipping right, and we have to fill out bubbles on a paper. I love that. It's got a race theme, and I was like, "Oh, that's great! Lots of player interaction. You got to keep an eye on the other ones." And all of that is true, except for one thing. It's got one of the worst rule books I've had to deal with.
We might as well have the rule book in French. I think we would have had a better time.
I don't understand, because
better without a rule book, honestly.
Yeah, apparently, Grand Gamers Guild, licensed it from the Belgian people, and they basically just, brought it over as is. That's the best I can tell, because
used Google Translate.
Man, the rule book. Well, I think it already had a rule book. Basically, just ported over from the European release. But that rule book is just really tough, and I thought it was just me, but I would pass the rule book between the guys, and this is my 3rd or 4th play now, and everybody was struggling. In fact, we were arguing amongst ourselves as to what this language said.
I have never discussed the rule book so much over a verb and right game in my life. Like it.
Checking in.
I like the way you described it. I don't remember who it was we were talking to. You were like, it's like we were having tribunals to figure out the interpretation of this rule. And it's like, all right, we're going to play it this way. And then 2 turns later, it's like, wait a minute. If we play it that way, then it contradicts this rule. So I think we need to amend our previous decision.
Another edge case.
Yeah.
What is essentially a simple game. We're going to roll some dice. You're going to take one of 3 colors, one color being really slow, the red ones, all the way up to one being really fast. The red one's representing a bicycle where you're just going around and you're very friendly to the environment. You're not making any waste. The other ones go really fast, but you might take some negative points. And you try to hit as many breweries across this map as possible while trying to fulfill 3 goals. Guys, that's the game.
Buy beer,
roll some dice, pick the dice, hit the breweries, make sure you have enough travel to hit them. Try to hit multiple ones if you can, and try to make the goals and get back to Brussels, to the castle before the timer runs out, and the timer being 3 turns after the first person completes their 3 quests. That's the whole game. I'm telling you, I could write this rule book. No, I shouldn't even say that because then somebody's gonna call me to write.
They're gonna call you to do it. Yeah. So like, the rule book was obviously Google translated because it was so directly translated from French that I thought it was Yoda who wrote the rule book because everything was out of order in the sentences.
Literally, the linchpin of the whole rule book is that the die you use to move has to be the lowest numbered die. But the way it was written,
die to buy and to buy or taste.
Is it the lowest one you have at any given moment? So you have to do slow then high, or is it the lowest one you got all together? But it also says if it's the same color, you can join them together. So now I'm using more than one die. So I thought I could only use the lowest. Is it tied for lowest? And then I can use them together? It was one sentence about it.
Also, it was like first thing in the morning. We were around breakfast time, and my ADHD meds weren't in yet, and I was just, squirrel. What are we doing? It was fun.
I can't recommend this. And Glenn Flaherty, as you guys know, I love Glenn Flaherty, and Glenn sent me this game. Glenn, I'm sorry, I just can't recommend this game as it is. If it has a good rule book or a good FAQ, I would recommend it because I actually like the game. I love the race element. And you give me a game that has 3 goals and you got to beat them before everybody else. You have to watch other people. If Mitchell's going for the same goal, he's going to snipe that goal out from under.
That happened in the game.
Out next.
100% not the game's fault at all.
Yeah. So, I feel bad.
That's a shame. That's on my list to look at for PAX 2. And I like choose your own adventure. I just don't want to choose my own rules. That's not.
Hey, ask them about that rule if they have a booth. Figure it out for us.
You come back, give us a demo, and all we're looking for is how do you, when you're using the dice, how do you travel versus how do you buy and taste with the same dice that you pull? That's what I want to know. So, unfortunately for me, thank you to our friends at Grand Gamers Guild for sending it to me. I just can't recommend it now, but I will play it if we can get a fixed rule book. That is. Also, I'm not a fan of the name. The Belgian Peers Race Dice lowercase game. So that's what it is.
That's fixable too.
All right. So, all right, board gamers, it's time for a game, right? This is a board game show, and we've got Mitchell and Logan here. Mitchell, we're going to list your help with me and Verla and Steve to figure out the Envy game. Logan, I'm going to let Steve tell you how the Envy game is played.
Okay. What we need is someone who's going to be the clue giver. That's going to be you. You have to think of a game that you would like to play if we could drop everything right now and you have the perfect collection of people and the game. It doesn't even have to be one that you own. It could be a Grail game. What would be the game you'd play now if you could? Don't tell us. We're going to have to try and figure it out by asking clever questions. It's kind of 20 questions style, but not quite. We'll ask, not just yes, no, but maybe things like, is it an American designer, or try to get some other things that are going to kind of help us narrow things down. Do you have one in mind?
I do. No, now you got me wondering where the heck these people are from.
Yeah, it sometimes might make a difference if you can have the BGG page for the.
I have it up. That's what I'm clicking.
Have it open. Okay. Yes. All right. If you don't know, just say don't know and ask a different question.
Sure.
We haven't had Verla in to do this game in a while, so I'm going to give up my traditional first question. I'm going to let Verla, the Gumbo Overlord, take the first question. You haven't done the Envy game with us in a while.
First of all, BJ, you don't let the Gumbo Overlord do anything.
No, you sure don't.
You check that verb, young man.
All right, so Chat Krewe, duly noted, Steve. Chat Krewe, you're playing against us, so if you can get it before us, you will win 7 million points.
Yes. And the ability to write the new rule book for the Belgian beers race.
You know what? You might win the game.
It's called.
You might actually win the game if you do this. So, all right, Verla, give us a question.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how gorgeous is it?
Oh,
I like that.
That's why
you said you like beautiful games.
Yeah, it's a 9.
It's a 9. Okay.
Okay.
Mitchell, you got a question?
Is it on BGA?
No.
Ooh,
okay. Oh, you're positive about that? There's a lot of games.
I mean, I haven't been on BGA in a very long time, but I'm fairly certain. I'm going to say no, it is not on BGA, and I'm going to stick with that.
Is it an area control game?
Yes.
I think I know what it is.
Wow. You going to take a step? No. If you've got a guess, go for it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Steve, you got one?
Okay. Area control and
so to recap, it's a 9 out of 10 in beauty. He doesn't think it's on BGA, and it has area control mechanics, right?
It does.
Okay. Published within the last 5 years?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Oh, I feel like taking my guess right now. Oh.
Everybody can ring in if you've got it. Go for it.
Is it Wonderland's
Try to set
War?
the record.
It is Wonderland's
War.
Oh
my God!
Oh wow, that is the record, I think.
Yeah, Dave, it is right behind me. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So a long time ago, I did this game with Chris Whitpan, and I didn't realize I had Watergate right behind me. So I'm like, I'm being all clever, like, oh yeah. And Chris goes, "Is it Watergate?" I'm like, what? How did you get that? And he's like, look behind you.
No, look, there was actually 2 games I was debating between because they were both big, gorgeous games that I brought to BGG, and I didn't get to play either. One was Wonderland's War, and also at the same time, BJ warned me. He said, every game you bring, you're just not going to play. Get used to it. Oh, by the way, can you bring Andromeda's Edge? So the other one was Andromeda's Edge.
Where is Wonderland's War? I don't even see Wonderland's War.
It's right next to Andromeda's Edge. See?
I see it. It's behind his head. There's Alice. You can see Alice.
Oh, I see Alice.
And then right next to Alice is Andromeda's Edge.
Because I see Dice Thrones, but I didn't realize. I see what Dave's saying. It's right behind you. That's not what I went. A 9 out of 10, and it's got area control. And I know Logan really, really wants to play. So Wonderland's War. And by the way, it's a fantastic game, man.
Dude, it is amazing.
Really
it is
Steve,
absolutely amazing.
I have not. We had that at ChuckCon the first, didn't we?
Yes, because Tim Eisner came over and
Tim was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was playing something else in the kitchen while you all played that one. So yeah, I didn't get to play it.
When we set it up, of course, Rob from the Board Boys had it 2 years ago, and he had it set up. I'm like, well, this looks like another Kickstarter overproduced game that's going to have very, very light mechanics. And I mean, within 5 minutes, I was hooked. You're building out this bag, and you're pushing your luck when you're taking it out, and you're trying to beat people around the table to get the best.
I mean, you can tell just by all the dice thrown and everything. I'm a sucker for Manny Tremblay, man.
Yeah.
You know, I love his art. So.
It's a good one. I do recommend it. I don't own a copy, but it's one I wouldn't mind owning. Honestly, it's a great one. And I think there's some other content for it, if I remember right. They did a little small.
There's a small expansion that came with it, and then they just had Mad Kala, which was on Kickstarter. It's their crazy version of Mancala.
I love Mancala. I need to look into that.
I backed it, so you'll get to play it. Don't worry.
Well, that's the Envy game. We got it in 4 or 5 questions. That was Wonderland's War.
Wow.
Yep, that's published by our friend James Hudson. I'm drawing a complete blank as the name of the company, but
it's Druid City
Game.
Druid City Games. That's right.
Yeah,
Druid
Tim
City
and
Games.
Ben Eisner, Ian Moss designers. Yeah.
Yep, Tim and Ben Eisner. That's the guys that did March of the Ants, also, right? Another interesting area control game. Why?
Yeah, Tim you guys bringing up a good point. Remember at the Going Analog trivia game, that was the answer to one of the questions, and they were in the room. We're like, this is cheating.
That is right.
Yeah.
James obviously got that answer right. So that is the Envy game presented by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Don't forget, make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. And yes, Dave, Game Topper LLC loves you too. That's right. All right, board gamers. I'm just cutting him off because I know what joke he's going to throw out already. All right, board gamers. That's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank my guests here, Logan and Mitchell, from the Acadiana Board Gamers. I guess that's how people would know you from the Discord, but also Southern Board Game Fest.
Yep, I'm now part of Southern Board Game Fest. I'm in charge. Well, I don't want to say in charge. I'm kind of curating the hot games and the gateway games this year. So, SETI is definitely top on the list right now for me personally. But.
Hey, Steve, it helps having one of the deluxe or bust dudes right there working on the hot games, because we're gonna have a beautiful hot game section at Southern.
If anything, I'm ugly, so it has to balance me out. So the table has to be beautiful.
Yeah, that's why we like pretty games, huh, Logan? Because we
compared to us,
no one else wants to interact with us otherwise. So
we look worse, though. We look worse when we're next to our game, so that's the problem. All right,
maybe it'll make our wives play with us.
If they have any questions, say what that tattoo really.
Spend money on her, but
Yeah.
If they have any questions, say like what that tattoo really means. Mitchell, how do they get in touch with you?
They don't.
How do they find you? They don't? Okay, good. Okay. They can find you occasionally on the Beans and Dice podcast.
Yeah, Beans and Dice podcast. I mean, MJ Prudom on BGA. I'll play games with people, or just in the Discord, Katie and Board Gamers Discord, or the Board Boys Discord, or the Beans and Dice Discord.
Yeah, you're a Discord guy.
Pump the theater? Pump the theater?
Yeah,
Put a tag out there?
Sure. I'm the president of a nonprofit theater in New Iberia, Louisiana. For all of you out there that know exactly where New Iberia is, the Iberia Performing Arts League. We actually have a show.
They've eaten Tabasco sauce. They know where Avery Island's at least.
That's true. At your own risk, yes.
Just make sure, Steve, you have your passport, all your shots lined up. So
sure.
before you head down to the theater, I'm joking around. It's a wonderful theater in downtown with great restaurants around there. It's a wonderful evening if you want to go down and catch them. And I've actually seen Mitchell in a couple of plays, one of which I didn't even know was on Broadway at the time. Whenever I was watching you in New Iberia, they were actually. I'm sorry, not Broadway. It was in New York. The
play that goes wrong. You talking about?
The play that went wrong.
I think Goes Wrong has been playing. It's been playing for a long time.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. Well, we got to see him. Mitchell was the best. Yeah, I went to see it.
You didn't talk to me afterwards. I didn't know you were there. We never talked about it.
Yes, me and Linda went. We saw it. Snowbody and I enjoyed the heck out of it.
I almost died in that show many times.
I know we're supposed to close the show, but Mitchell, you do remember that we went to the performance where there was a young man who really enjoys theater, and he laughed out loud at every single joke as the play went on in a very loud manner. It was very enjoyable. Yeah, it was very enjoyable, but it was a little distracting. But it's a small theater, Steve. You know what I mean? So one person
who you're talking. Okay, but I remember this now. Sorry.
Yeah. I was there. We saw you. It was a great performance, and actually, Mitchell was the star of the show. I'll just say that. So not just because we're friends, but really because we're friends. But I mean, not because we're friends. But we are friends. So take that with a grain of salt. Logan, how can they get in touch with you?
Instagram, Cardboard Cajun. Feel free to join our Discord at any time at Katie and Board Gamers. I mean, other than that, I don't play BGA anymore, so you can't find me there, unfortunately.
And Steve, you're going to be taking pictures and giving us a big recap of Pax U.
Yeah, I'm excited about Pax U.
Hope so.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, Board Gamers, I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And until next time, for Steve and for Verla and for Logan and for Mitchell, laissez le bon temps rouler. Next week, Gumbo, we'll be back in the Gumbo Pot doing some streaming. So check us out there.
Bye, friends.
Later.
Wow.